Whoa, hello, and welcome to episode 0 of Hops and Dragons. Tonight, much like the session 0 of a new D&D campaign, we're going to introduce ourselves, explain what you can expect from Hops and Dragons, and then give you some insight on how do we view this hobby we both enjoy just a little bit.
But first we drink.
Cheers.
All right, so tonight's sponsor, yes, our episode 0 does have a sponsor, is Nine Penny Brewing out in CBS here in Newfoundland. And tonight we're drinking a red ale that they've got. I'm going to have to pour it up because Tilly actually got a jump on me and poured it up before the stream
I got
started.
thirsty, man. I don't want to tell you. This is my favorite. Like, this is literally my favorite. This just worked out well for me.
Yeah. You haven't always drank reds though, eh?
I was a bit of a Rickards dude. This blows that right out of the water.
I certainly hope it would. Yeah, no. So Nine Penny is out in, like I said, out in CBS. They're doing some good stuff out there. The red is for anybody who's interested in a bit of the beer. Like I said, they are our sponsor, so we do have to give them a little bit of love here first before we get into it. But it's they launched it in March of 2019 for St. Patty's Day. Actually, I'm thirsty too. I'm gonna take a drink first.
You might as well. We're not in a rush.
Cheers to anybody who's drinking out there with us, by the way. We certainly appreciate that. Let us know in the chat if you are. Yeah, so it's it's your traditional Irish red. It's kind of low carbonation. It's got a super silky head on it as well for anybody who really likes those reds. You're gonna get a lot of really malted caramel kind of flavors out of it. It is like Tilly mentioned, it is going to be similar to a Rickards Red, but a little bit less sweet. A lot of the macrobreweries use a lot of corn syrup and stuff like that in there, so a microbrewery is going to be a little bit better on the sweetness scale. But it is more malty than it is bitter. Goes super awesome with any sort of fried foods, fish and chips, stuff like that. It's all usually the malty beers go a lot better with those beers.
That's definitely true.
The other cool part about it is the names. They do a really, really good job of naming their beers. They always put a kind of a local spin on it. So it's called the Farmers Riot Red, and the story behind it is in the 1880s. There was a community out in Foxtrap here in Newfoundland, and it was one of the communities that makes up CBS, where the brewery is located, and it was kind of. It was all farmland back then, and when the inspectors or the surveyors came through and wanted to lay, the rails for the Newfoundland Railway, they had to cut through all the all the farmland, and all the farmers, of course, didn't want to really
not cool, man.
let that fly.
Cool.
So tensions kind of grew between the locals and the surveyors. And, as they moved through the area with the railroad, there was one woman who was actually noted as approaching the surveyors and coming out and, just arms bared, hair streaming in the wind. And she vowed to, and this is the quote, to let sunlight into the stomachs of the invaders. And that's
she was going to stab him?
Yeah, that was a pretty metal.
Wow.
So
it's my new battle cry for sure.
Yeah, so the whole concept of the Farmers Riot red, and it kind of went with the whole gutting somebody open, and I don't know, it just worked really well. So
who doesn't love stabbing people in the guts?
Yeah, right. So we certainly appreciate Nine Penny. If you are in Newfoundland, you get a chance to get out there. The guys make really, really good beer. What can we say? So. I can't wait until we have more of their beers, because although I do love the red, there's another beer that I love way more, and I can't wait to drink it. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm just really lucky because this is actually my new favorite beer. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Just how that worked out.
Like I said, they've done a lot of really good things out there.
It's awesome.
So the stream's about D&D. And beer.
That is the plan. So, like, anybody out there who doesn't know us, I'm Steve.
I'm Paul.
Yeah, we've known each other for, I don't know, when was grade 8? That wasn't yesterday. 20 odd years.
Actually, fun fact, and I didn't tell Tilly this.
Surprises.
Surprising, I know. Our turtleversary
Oh, yeah.
is September 10th, I think it is. Is that what's in the calendar?
I believe so.
It's next week. I actually, and it would be 21 years. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, 21. So it would have been, it would have been 1998. Because we met in grade 8, and I remember last year I was like, holy crap, it's been 20 years since grade 8. Well, then that means it's been 20 years since I've known a bunch of my friends, including you. And so I went back and did the math on it and said, well, I don't want to forget this. I actually went back to 1998 and see what the first day of school was, which was the first day that we met. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
and I put it in the calendar, and I set it to repeat every year. So, I thought it was fairly serendipitous, I guess, that we launched the stream on a week before a week before the 21st anniversary of our friendship, I guess.
Ooh.
He was the only one that actually liked me in junior high school.
That is 100% accurate. And even that was iffy. I'm not going to lie.
So I got a question for you first, though. I've got a branded 9-penny glass because we had to get the logo in here. You do not.
This is the skull of my players.
Oh, God. Filled with your players' tears. So in saying that, then obviously you're a DM to continue with our...
Well, yeah, I've taken the DM role because someone has to, and it's really fun.
I did for...
And you get to use it to get friends like you into playing D&D because, otherwise we've been stuck playing Settlers of Catan on repeat for over and over and over.
There you go. Now you can see a little bit of the color.
You nerd.
I am sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, Tilly and I bonded really, really quickly over, a lot of the similar nerdy stuff. I think we played
so much StarCraft.
Every single video game together. Every single game I've played with you at the very least.
So much GoldenEye. Way too much Perfect Dark. Like way too much Perfect Dark.
So that's what I was thinking about beforehand, just before we went live. Was I was trying to remember what was the first video game that we played together. I know the first video game that I played, and that was Doom, which is hilarious because like an 8-year-old shouldn't be playing.
Definitely not.
Shouldn't be killing demons in hell. But I wonder if it was GoldenEye.
It probably was GoldenEye, because grade 8, I want to say I got an N64 that Christmas. Or is the Christmas of grade 7?
I got mine the year that Legend of Zelda came out, Ocarina of Time, because I had the golden cartridge and I still have it.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, unopened, perfect in the box. That thing's worth like thousands.
And that's clearly how you kept it, right?
Oh yeah. No, right now I've got
the water temple and smash the shit out of that.
What's that?
You got to the water temple and just like smash the shit out of it.
Listen, don't talk about the water temple. I still have PTSD from that. But yeah, no, if you actually try and sell an opened copy, like a decent looking copy but opened of that right now, you can still sell it for almost $100.
That's crazy.
The golden cartridge. So,
it probably was GoldenEye we played first, I think.
Yeah, because Perfect Dark came way after that.
Oh, yeah, well, Perfect Dark was... Because it was GoldenEye, and then a different company made Tomorrow Never Dies, I think.
I don't think I ever played Tomorrow Never Dies.
It was awful. It was a terrible game.
Yeah.
And then Rare made Perfect Dark, which was the true GoldenEye successor.
Yes. And I remember that I kicked all of your asses at Perfect Dark.
Oh, yeah. Well,
It was the last video game that I was really dominant at. Ever since then, I've just fallen downhill.
I was going to say, because I think that was your game, and then shortly after we got into like this Delta Force computer game shooter.
Jeez.
Where just like it wasn't even fair that I got to play with any of the rest of you, because it was just me at like 50 points and the rest of you at 10.
That's true.
Like, I don't know what happened, but it was just wasn't fair.
Yeah, no, DF2 was in high school 100%, so it was a couple years afterwards. Which is wild because Perfect Dark had way better graphics than DF2.
Better graphics, way better.
But yeah, so I mean, we played a ton of the Blizzard games as well together, and in that kind of like fantasy genre. I grew up playing Warcraft.
I remember us and like our friend group playing StarCraft, and you could do the quick mineral maps. And it was like one person in each corner. Like this was 9 players, right, or 8, because you had the middle was open.
Yeah,
and it was technically free for all, but then us like little assholes would all team up against the one random person in the match, just destroy them.
As you do when you're in grade 8 or grade 9.
Teenage asshole. I don't know what to tell you. Just ruining people's day.
Just being shitheads.
So bad.
But yeah, so it's funny because like I said, we played Warcraft and StarCraft and everything as well. And I remember we're gonna get into this a little bit later, but I remember you went more into the fantasy genre than I did. And,
100%.
Thankfully we reconvened paths as far as fantasy goes years later, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. So
there's always World of Warcraft
since vanilla.
It's a long time playing that.
Not
game.
many people can say that.
A lot of people can, but it's a little sad when you think about like 14 years at this point. I got like 250 something days played.
Don't even talk. You canceled for a couple of years.
I was like the cancellation for a couple of years. It's brutal.
I canceled for 3 months when I went backpacking in Australia, and I said no, I don't want to. But 3 months later, I was like, I need to get my fix.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember you resubbing and like playing by the pool near your apartment.
Yeah.
It's too funny.
As we enter fall here now, I'm
awful.
bitter about my change in country.
So you should be. So I guess moving on to a little bit here, the plan for this whole endeavor we have here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this came about for a couple reasons. I feel like I just like to look up stuff about D&D because that's what you do when you're a dungeon master. You just constantly reading up stuff. I feel like you were a little bit interested because you wanted to get into some of this, amazing editing, like all this overlay stuff you see here in the fancy intro. That was Paul and Anna.
Well, yeah. So
Right.
I put things together. Anna's designed it. So if you guys like the look of our overlay and anything on our socials or anything like that, the logos and the icons and everything, Anna's our artist, and she's actually done 2 pieces of art in both of our frames. I didn't realize that until now.
That's awesome.
That's a map of Westeros from Game of Thrones. And Tilly's, yours was a gift for being such an awesome GM.
I know. It's a little dragon on a little mini horde.
Yeah. So you can check her out at Anna Bullock Design. I should know this. Anna Bullock Design. Shocking. On Facebook. Instagram, it's acolleen221. She actually is here with us in the chat tonight. So
hi, Anna.
We were eternally grateful for everything that Anna's done as well. But if you're interested in any sort of artwork, go give her a look. So that's 2 sponsors tonight. Anna Bullock Design and
sure. Yeah.
And
we owe Anna way more than a sponsor, so
yeah, 100%.
Way more. My secret goal behind this channel, though, just to throw it out here, is I guess like we have like a bunch of topics, and one of them was kind of an educational topic. Our plan is each week we'll talk about a different thing and just the rules behind it, and then maybe a little bit of advanced kind of how we monkey with the rules at our table a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal between this channel is that when we play D&D, every time it's Paul's turn to attack, he puts a pile of dice in his hands. It's just a pile, like whatever he thinks is appropriate. Just is like, this many? Every time. One of these days he'll know. I don't have to tell him.
Yeah.
maybe
Listen,
this show will teach you.
So I play again. We'll probably get into this later as well, but I play a ranger in our game, and I play a hunter in World of Warcraft. So it made sense for my first character, and so my focus when I rolled character was damage. So
Ridiculous amount of damage.
I built my character to do a lot of damage, so I usually roll a lot of dice.
So much damage. Yeah.
You can't fault
It's
me
pretty
for
cool though. But the other side of the damage is we have a couple segments in here. Like there's one, we're not going to do it this week, but we're going to do when you're making a character, there's a table where you can roll for a trinket. It's like a 1 to 100. You roll and it gives you something random. Like could be like a golden cup or a worm in a box. Like I don't know, it's random nonsense. But the idea is you use it to kind of like spark some role play ideas for your characters. So we're going to use some of it to kind of stretch out our role play ability.
Which attempted ability?
Ability,
which is something that I didn't, and that was probably the reason why I wasn't totally into it at first or in high school when I was, you first kind of invited me to do it. But I learned very, very quickly that it's not as intimidating as you think, and also a lot more fun when you can do it.
It's true.
I learned a lot of things along the way about that too.
I mean, we also, we like to be a bit foolish too. So, like one of the other ones, we'll actually kind of do a little segment on this tonight too. A useless item of the week, because everyone loves the big damage Holy Avenger swords, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, that's some cool shit. But every now and again, you just want that random item that just really does nothing. But it's funny as hell.
Are you talking about the useless item of the week?
The useless item of the week is like, it's great. So great. What are you going to do with that? I don't know. Maybe something though. So that's kind of the challenge too. Like, I don't know. I made up I think the useless item of the week I made up this week is actually probably not that useless. Could actually destroy the planet.
I think there's, you 100% could, but I think that there is, there's ways that you can incorporate all items in a game.
Yep, it's true.
And that's kind of the fun part about D&D too, is that it's kind of open to your interpretation, however creative you want to be, right?
Mm-hmm. No, 100%.
Do you want to dive right into our useless item? Or are you gonna hold off?
Sure. Well, I mean, just real quickly, just so everyone's kind of can know what to expect next week.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So with the roll for trinket, the use item of the week, I mean, the educational topic, we'll probably have a discussion topic as well, kind of based off the educational topic, because as you may know from me and Paul, we like to talk a lot, as all our high school and junior high teachers just said so many times. We'll probably do a little short bite too. Like to be honest, I'm outing myself here now really bad. In preparation for this show was the first time I read the Player's Handbook cover to cover. I know, right? So there was things in there
and you gave me shit last
night. So much shit.
We had this conversation. You were like, read the Player's Handbook,
It's in there, man. It's all in there. And like, I thought I knew most of it. There's things I didn't know. So I got some rules that people may not know. Because, I mean, like, if most of the rules in the Player's Handbook, you look up when you need them. Like, you know where your ancestries are, you know where your classes are, the items, spells, all that stuff. Everyone just looks that stuff up. But there's some other little random gems in there that you might not know there's an actual rule for. I mean, making stuff up is fine, too. No one, that's 100% legit.
Yeah, no, 100%. And a lot of the rules were that I like in kind of preparing for the segments, in our preparation here, were like they all made sense. Like
of course,
whenever you read through them, usually rules in D&D make sense, but you just might not know them.
Yeah, no, legit. I guess this is actually one I'm excited for, which I didn't think I was going to be excited for. We battled about this one a lot. We're going to do a weekly monster battle. So I think next week is zombie versus skeleton, and I was dead set against this idea. I was like, this is going to be the most boring shit. No one's going to want to watch me and you. And put it up online so you can see our little monsters like fighting back and forth and roll the dice and all that stuff. And I was like, no one's going to want to watch this. This is going to be the most boring segment ever. But we did it on Sunday as a trial, and it was hilarious. I had a good time.
It was fun. But we figured that it's a D&D stream. We're going to talk about D&D. So
Let's play some D&D.
Why not show a little bit of D&D?
Mhm.
So, yeah. So the whole idea is, and we'll moving forward, we're gonna we've got the first couple planned out, but we'll probably put it out as a poll, on social media beforehand, or maybe the episode for the next week kind of thing, and we'll pick the CR and CR of course is for anybody in here that's not hardcore play in D&D. CR is combat rating. It's just basically a way to classify how strong a monster is, and it's so it's usually a pretty good guide if you're going to develop an encounter. Dilly argues with me. It's a pretty good guide sometimes to tell you how strong a monster is. So the idea is that we're going to have a CR of 1 fight a CR of 1, or a CR of 5 fight a CR of 5, and we did a couple rounds on Sunday, and one round it went one way, one round it went the other way. So it's that's the fun and exciting part for us, is that we don't know how it's going to turn out either.
I mean, we're rolling dice, right? I mean, God knows, it's all a chance.
100%, yeah. So one of the other segments that we're going to talk about as well is, and before we move on, hopefully the takeaway from it is that if you're a DM for this next segment, for example, you can get some ideas to use in your games. And if you're a player, for example, that skeleton versus zombie kind of thing, when you see a skeleton, you'll learn a little bit more about it, and you say, oh, right, that's the skeleton is stronger, or the zombie is stronger, so we need to take this one out first, or that one out first. And it's a little tiny bit of an added kind of takeaway as well, so that the players can get something from it, and GMs can take something from it as well.
For sure. Learn a few tactics too. Like we actually learned some tactics ourselves on Sunday about how to better fight zombies.
100%.
Fucking zombies.
Helpful in real life.
100% helpful in real life. It's coming, folks. For
those of you that don't know, Tilly is deathly afraid of zombies.
It's true. I once said it. I had to do a medical for my real world job, and they asked if I had any phobias. I 100% said zombies, and I don't feel like the nurse thought I was being serious. But I legit was. You asked the question, I'm going to give you the truthful answer.
Do you remember
nothing but honest? Do
you remember the time in high school when I forced you to watch The Exorcist?
Yeah, you're a terrible human being
with no lights on.
and then The Ring, and then what was the other one you maybe? Oh, that was just the what was that one with the two guys, the guy and the girl? I know I'm explaining every movie ever.
The guy and the girl.
They murdered people. That's not helping either.
No, that was James that made you watch that.
It was James who made me watch that. I don't remember the name.
Is it Fear and Loathing? No, not Fear and Loathing. Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers.
I knew what you were talking about, though. Yeah. All of us tried to corrupt him as much as we possibly could, I think.
And then what was the one From Dusk Till Dawn? Were you there when James made me watch From Dusk Till Dawn?
No, that was a James
thing. And it's like, oh, it's just a movie about some people robbing some stuff. And then like, nope, fucking vampires.
Spoiler alert.
What the hell just happened? If you haven't seen that movie by now, it's too fucking late. Spoiler alert is over.
The worst part about the movie is it's like fucking an hour and 15 minutes into the movie before it like everything goes to hell, literally. It's just a normal movie up until then.
I hate you all.
Sorry, not sorry at all. So do you want to go through some of the other segments, or you want to leave them?
Well, there's only really one. There's only really one more, I guess. I mean, we're gonna do a news segment because there's always stuff coming out. Like there's a whole new book. We'll talk about it next week. It's like possibly gonna change the way 5th edition works.
Totally,
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. And Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out soon, which is a video game based in the Dungeons and Dragons, specifically 5th edition universe. So there's news coming out for that every week. So we're gonna peruse the interwebs and kind of curate. There you go, curate it all. Collate's for like printers and stuff.
But then we're actually going to, on that note, we're actually planning on early access for that game comes out on the 30th of September.
September 30th, yeah.
So the plan is to actually, and we'll talk about this more in the weeks to come, because, I mean, God knows that could get delayed or anything at this point. It probably won't, but it's early access, who knows.
Mm-hmm.
But the plan is to stream that game. It's going to be great.
Surprise!
see how that works out.
Yeah.
And the other one too, I'm actually kind of excited for this one as a DM, because they're always a huge pain in the ass to find, is puzzles for D&D.
Right, that's the one I was going to mention earlier that was good for puzzles. I apologize. I got
okay.
distracted by scaring you.
What? One of our conversations went off on a tangent.
Never happens.
Never happens. Ever. Yeah, so puzzles. So I think I have a list of a handful, and you have a list of a handful. And I think the plan is we'll kind of describe the puzzle as like the DM would describe a puzzle, which would give people an idea of how to, go about using it in their games. And then the person, not the DM, the player would have, 5 minutes. We'll come up with a number, a set amount of time, maybe with chat's help, to try to figure out the answer to the puzzle.
Actually, chat's help is a good idea that we never thought about before.
I did.
Oh, well.
Well, there you go.
This is how much
I might have thought about it 30 seconds ago, but
that'd be kind of cool, because then you could do like a little phone a friend. So if you can't figure it out, you can check chat once and that's it.
Yeah, I feel like I'll need more than once, but that's okay.
Okay, no, you put the doorknob challenge in front of us, and we didn't figure it out. So
no, you guys got I think you used all your hit points almost dying to figure out which doorknob to pick.
I don't remember it at all.
I know, it's really sad. I'm gonna all the puzzles I used. So, Aaron, Jess, Anna, if you're watching when we do puzzles that I used in our game already, you can't help Paul.
Please help me.
No, because he doesn't remember none of them.
There's one I remember where you had something about walking backwards to unlock a door, and that's the only puzzle.
Okay, I'll take that one off the list.
Fuck. Whoops.
Thanks for the heads up there, boss.
Damn it. I need to keep these things more in my head, more to myself.
You're like inner voice, Paul. Inner voice.
Yeah. I have no inner monologue. It's just all outer monologue.
All outer monologue.
Yeah. But yeah, the puzzles are going to be really cool, because puzzles, you told me that it was really, really, really hard to find puzzles for your DM sessions, for your as a DM, for your sessions. And when I did a one shot once, and I wanted to put a puzzle or two in there, because as a player I really, really like the puzzles, and I scoured a bunch of Reddit subreddit, sorry, and there's a lot of bad puzzles out there, so it's it's difficult. So any of the puzzles that we use, we're going to make them available as well to, if we can find them online. They're not our puzzles. We're not claiming that they're ours, but we will link
We're
to
not
them
that smart to make up our own puzzles.
No.
I mean, we might could get there. It could happen. You don't know, but probably not.
Maybe. We'll see. But either way, we will link to them in again, for any DMs that are watching and want to use them for their own stream. We're also going to answer any sort of questions. We've set up a Discord as well, to foster a community. All of our social media channels are out there. Both of our tags are right here, but also the Hops and Dragons one is at the bottom of the stream. We're on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter as well, and
Reddit.
And Reddit. We've got a subreddit too. We're kind of just everywhere. I work in digital marketing, so this is kind of my jam. But we're really, really, as being members of the community, that on a daily basis we see the questions that get asked, and we see the amazing content that gets shared, and the art and the cosplay and the discussions and everything as well. Stuff. It is. So we kind of wanted to be a part of that as well, on the other side, and kind of host a community as well, and kind of hopefully it'll make us better and give us more content as well. So, but so we certainly want to have a dedicated section to answering frequently asked questions. We're laughing because that was the initial idea, was frequently asked questions, and when I say FAQs, I know what I mean is just questions that you answer, and Steve gave me a lot of shit for it. So now
don't give you shit.
So the section is just AQs now. They're just asked questions.
Questions that people ask, yeah.
And hopefully we'll be able to answer them.
Probably not. Again, we're not smart enough for that.
I got a question for you. How much beer do you have left?
Not enough. But
I'm hoping that Anna is watching and she can maybe bring me another one. I told her before the stream, I said, you need to watch with the volume full on so that in case I run out, you can
legit
bring one up.
I should have brought down the other ones I have, but
I was going to bring another one up, but I didn't want it to be warm.
Well, that was exactly what I said.
Right?
Warm beer. It's just, I don't know. Anyway.
Funny enough, actually, seeing as we're a conversation or a comment about the beer, some things that people don't know, and it's because of the mass marketing of macro breweries, like Molson and Coors. And don't get me wrong, I grew up drinking Molson. I grew up drinking Canadian.
Me too.
I can't drink it now. I find it too sweet. That's not to knock on them. There is a place for that in the world. I play multiple hockeys.
You do play twice a week.
This is true. In the before times, before COVID, I played, and most of the guys that you play hockey with aren't bringing growlers of microbrew beers to the dressing room. It's usually a 2-4 Bud Light or Coors. And you know what? When you get off the ice after an hour, to take 2 or 3 of those and just drink them like water, I'm sorry, I'm not going to drink 2 or 3 pints of red after I get off the ice. So there's a place.
It'd be pretty heavy.
It is, and there's and everybody kind of thinks, because of the fact that I'm into microbrew beers, that I'm a beer snob or whatever. But listen, man, I'll drink a Corona on a deck. I'll drink a Bud Light after hockey.
We had a work party the other day, man, down on Water Street. Oh, the Coronas went down way too smooth.
You sent me the pictures, and I was very, very upset that I could not join.
I mean, also the margaritas.
Yes. Tequila
Dangerous
goes down
combo.
usually pretty quickly. I was making a point about beers.
I think you might have a beer delivery.
I'm excited about it. I see it in the chat. So, we got our first mod timeout.
Oh yeah, no, you can't post links in chat. It just won't let you do it.
Ah, gotcha. Good to know. We might be able to change that. Just out of curiosity.
Maybe. I'm not
We'll
sure.
look into it. Send us the link to our social media channels, or you could comment on the replay of the stream. We are planning. Beer delivery.
A wild girlfriend has appeared.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate the beer delivery. It is. It's a different type of beer. Excited.
Should have been more specific.
I should have been. Also one of the other things is it does have a percentage, but it's an unlabeled beer. We'll keep that on the down low. One of the things I guess that we should have mentioned at first as well, as far as the tech goes. If there's any sort of issues with sound or anything like that, or video or latency or anything like that, just let us know in the chat. We can kind of adjust things live as we go. So just let us know if we are too loud, too quiet, or anything like that.
I mean, I know I'm too loud. That's just fact.
Fun story. I used to sleep over at Tilly's house in junior high school, and of course, as kids, you stay up late and kind of like whisper and chat or whatever. And there was no whispering or chatting for Tilly.
I don't know how to do that.
I was at his house telling him that he had to be quiet because he was going to wake up his parents.
Like, okay, let's fast forward to first year university. My parents slept through a gunshot in the house next door. So, like, I feel like I was okay.
About that. Yeah, fair enough.
Whereas
I grew up with a father.
Basically saved my family.
I grew up with a father who, if you breathed too loudly, he would wake up. So I was like, "What are you doing? Be quiet."
No.
Right, so back on rails. If you guys are gonna watch the stream, you're gonna have to understand that we're gonna go off the rails a bunch.
So many tangents.
One of the other things that we really wanted to do was there's a lot of really good artwork out there in the D&D community and tabletop and everything and fantasy. There's a bunch of it. Well, obviously you can see two behind us. There's a bunch of it behind Steve's head on the bookshelf there. I'm hoping to get it set up with my bookshelf as well with all my nerdy stuff, but it hasn't happened yet. There's a lot of art out there in this community. There's a lot of really creative people, so we wanted to kind of highlight some of that too. And we'll do that on our social media channels. So again, if you're interested in the art, give us a follow. You'll see that on a regular basis being shared and retweeted and credited to the artists that are doing it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the other sections is probably the most important, and with the rest of the sections we'll kind of leave to surprises as we do them. But the last one is basically we have, and I may have zoned out earlier if you brought this up. I'm sorry, I was focusing on getting another beer. But the idea of there's going to be a topic that we discuss, and it's kind of a philosophical a philosophical topic that's not an objective answer. It's not a how do you do this, how do you do that. It's a in this situation, how do you do this, or in this given this topic, how do you feel about that? And it's a discussion because there's no right answer in a lot of these things, right? And during that section, there's an opportunity there for us to have possibly guests on.
Bring in some friends.
Some friends, yeah. We'd love to be able to have friends in and have a conversation. So, again, if something you're interested in, send us a message on our social media channels, and we'll connect and we'll try and make that happen.
Cool. Do you want to go to our first official segment?
We could.
Do you have to hit a button first?
I can. Uh-oh.
Don't panic.
Here we go. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the first official scene change? Or sorry, second one, I guess.
It's a different scene change on the first one, though.
It is, yeah. So our first official segment, as opposed to just rambling here on Hops and Dragons.
Like we'll do every week.
Like we will do every week. 100%.
So, I guess I'll kick this one off. Here?
Oh, I'm a bartender and I just screwed that up.
Boo.
We're not going to talk about this beer because it's unlabeled. It's homebrew. We'll call it that.
Sure.
I actually don't know what beer it is because there's no label on it. So kids don't drink unlabeled bottles.
I mean, it's definitely a 9-penny beer.
Shh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we had a conversation about how I was going to do that and how long it was going to take for me to hit my mic on stream, and we are
40 minutes.
40 minutes in. Cool.
That wasn't bad, actually. I really thought you were going to hit it as soon as we hit go.
This is why we ordered shock mounts for our mics. As you were saying.
Yeah. So I scoured the player's handbook and the other core rule books, and got, like I said earlier, scoured for rules that I was like, really? That's a rule? I didn't know that rule. And for episode 0, I didn't really want to get into anything actual, real rule heavy. But I thought this was important. This is going to be a little cheesy, a little bit, but I feel like this is really important and probably true to how we play D&D. So we're going to start. For anyone with Player's Handbook, feel free to follow along because I'm just going to read this verbatim. Page 4, Player's Handbook. Mike Merle's 2014 quote, "Above all else, D&D is yours. The friendships you make around the table will be unique to you. The adventures you embark on, the characters you create, the memories you make, these will be yours. D&D is your personal corner of the universe, a place where you have free reign to do as much as you wish." To follow up with that, page 5, there's no winning and losing in Dungeons and Dragons. At least not in the way those terms are usually understood.
100%. 110%. And when Steve and I talked about the, what do we want to get out of this stream, and what's our first episode look like, and et cetera, et cetera. We kept on kind of coming back to, we know it because we played together for a long time, and that's how we play. But we wanted to make sure that the people watching the stream and connecting with us on social media and on Twitch and everything just understood the lens of which we kind of viewed Dungeons and Dragons through. And basically it's have fun and enjoy your time. Like that's the number one rule. So that's the reason why we wanted to start the segment with, like, that is our first rule that we're going to cover. And the segment's called Rules You May Not Know, and to be completely honest, that is a rule that a lot of people that play Dungeons and Dragons and DM don't know.
Well, think about it now. Like, you get this fancy new player's handbook, which I have left at your house. But you want to get right into the good stuff, right? Like, where's the ancestries? I want to figure out how to play a dwarf that shoots fireballs and shit. Like, who reads the preface?
I didn't read any of it, clearly. You gave me enough shit about it last night.
Exactly. But it's key, and I feel like, the days we're in now is just so dark. And I mean, even if, I don't know if any of you follow a lot of D&D stuff on Twitter, but I mean, there's lots of varying opinions on D&D and how it should or should not be played. Mm-hmm. It's just a game, boss.
Yep. We're
just here to have a good time and roll some dice.
100%, yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of lose sight of that and, kind of end up getting so caught up in the world and the rules and how to do it the way that they want it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying anybody that we've played with, but a lot of the stuff that we're exposed to in on the internet and on Twitter and everything, and I'm sure we're going to be exposed to it more as we go down this path. But there's a lot of argument over the right way to do things, and our rule 0 is have fun.
Yeah, right? And there's you have these core rule books in the game, and they contain lots of rules, tons and tons and tons of rules. 300 pages per book. There's 3 core rule books, plus however many supplementary books. I mean, yeah, the rules are not unimportant, but if we're sat down to the table and I'm DMing and Paul says I want to do a thing, and I don't know, I just makes it up, man. We just keep playing. Like, we just keeps going. Like, it's just whatever. Don't worry about it. We'll do this. If it ends up being broken, because, like, if you play video games, stuff gets broken sometimes, and you just, what, next week, Paul, that thing I let you do that last week? Yeah, maybe I'm not going to let you do that anymore because you, like, one hit a dragon or some shit. I don't know.
You've nerfed me once or twice, that's for sure.
It's deserved.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, and the whole idea for us was, like, the player's handbook is, and the DM's guide and everything is a guide. At the end of the day, every table's different, right? So another thing that I learned in my journey in this is that some things aren't fun to people. As a ranger, keeping track of ammo is not fun for me. So we
is
disagree.
It fun for anybody? I don't know. I guess it is fun for some.
I'm sure there's some people that are super strict by the rules, and I can understand the appeal to that for sure. But it's just a thing where whenever we go to a vendor now, I just drop 100 gold and say, okay, well, I'm good for another 4 or 5 sessions
forever. That was really eye opening. Like, there's just so many incredible communities. I mean, one of the biggest ones out there is obviously Critical Role. I mean, they're arguably why 5th edition has exploded into the phenomenon that it is now compared to the previous editions of D&D.
Definitely.
And they have a group called Critical Role Stats. And there's just these people, they don't get paid to do this, but they just follow this campaign online and they keep tabs of statistics, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a ranger in that game, and I think they said by the time they hit level 20, now that campaign started at level 10, but it was still like 115 episodes, 3 to 4 hours each. I think she only shot like 400 arrows.
And I am overpaying for my arrows.
Yeah, you're probably good. Like, now you typically pay for the magic ones. That's True. A little different, but like True. Mundane arrows, we'll let that slide.
100%. So yeah, end of the day, have fun, and that's kind of what we do, and that's what makes, I think, we've been running a campaign for almost 2 years, over 2 years now, and I think the reason why that we kind of break the mold, because most campaigns don't last that long, is because of the fact that we put a focus on fun.
It's legit.
That's what it comes down to. You ready for the next segment?
Oh, I was gonna say, speaking of fun.
Speaking of fun, I'm waiting for us to do the hop thing. During all of our tests, we've multiple times done that and rearranged ourselves and fixed our postures at the exact same time. So I was expecting it to happen again tonight. But yeah, so do you want to take it, or do you want me to go for it?
Go ahead.
The first useless item of the week, which
so ridiculous.
It is a little bit silly, but at first, when we first picked it, it didn't seem that silly. It's a bag of indestructible, infinite rope.
Like,
and I was like, that's really useful.
Yeah, but see, at first glance, I thought this is useless. Because, like, if it's an infinite bag of rope, you're going to reach into this bag trying to grab an end of rope, and you're never going to find it because it's infinite. There's theoretically no end to this rope.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you just take out a loop of it, tie it around a tree, and just start walking. And then, like, no one can walk down the road anymore because you just burn it off with this indestructible rope.
Or you just keep pulling for eternity, drown all life on the planet.
Yeah, okay, I screwed up making up this one, okay? Maybe not as useless as we thought.
It is useless because of the fact that you can't cut it. You can't totally use it because it's you can't tie it the way that a rope normally tied. So that's a useless item of the week. Stay tuned for more. Normally we will have links for these as well. We're going to try to get little item cards for it as well, so that's a work in progress. And hopefully, and if anybody uses them in their own games, just let us know, because we want to know how these foolish items will end up used.
Yeah, so you could fix this one if you take out one of the I words. Pick one.
One of the I words?
Yeah, yeah, one of the I words, you leave it infinite or you leave it indestructible, but not both. And it probably wouldn't be useless. It would just be the dopest ass mundane item. Because even 50 feet of indestructible rope would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a very, very useful item.
Right? But like infinite... Well, I feel like I actually gave you guys a bag of infinite rope.
You did, but not indestructible.
Not indestructible. Which is still useful because you could just take it,
we just have
tie it
rope
up
all the time. It's great. So yeah, so the
we
top
don't role play night times.
Sorry?
I said we don't role play characters night times.
We don't? Oh no. We need to put a mature filter on the
I was going to say we need to turn on the mature filter. There is one.
So good question here is does anything else fit inside that bag, or is it just the rope?
Oh, just the rope.
Oh.
That would be super hacks.
Useless.
I mean, let's be honest. I don't police your bag of holding. I just don't.
What are the rules for bag of holding for those of us that don't know and have never used a bag of holding outside of the homebrew session that you give us?
There are rules.
Do you not know them?
I mean, not off the top of my head. I think like the item card is like 3 cards long, potentially. It's a lot,
Really?
All I know is if you put a portable hole inside a bag of holding, or a bag of holding inside a portable hole, you make a portal to the astral plane.
And wait, what can't you do?
Oh, you can do it.
No. What can't you do? What destroys the universe?
It doesn't destroy the universe. It just makes a portal to the astral plane.
That's fun.
Which sucks everybody in like a certain radius.
Well, that's the bad thing.
I mean, but then you're in the astral plane. Cool things can happen there. There's like dreadnoughts, mind flayers.
Fair enough.
You move around by thinking. I mean, that shit's crazy.
Which, if anybody hasn't checked out Baldur's Gate 3, it's all about mind flayers.
Mind flayers.
So So I guess move on. The next section we had was the last one that we talked about earlier, was the whole idea of a discussion topic, and we figured that the first week that we'd talk about it is basically a little bit more how we got into D&D, how we kind of see it, some of the issues that we kind of came across. So for anybody who's watching that doesn't play, because I know there are going to be people that are watching the stream that don't play. I was one of them years ago, and there was a lot of obstacles that I kind of went through, that I came up against that I didn't end up playing because of them. And now after playing, and I wish I'd done it so much longer ago. And I know it's silly. Of course, I'm running a Dungeons and Dragons Twitch stream and podcast and everything now, but or launching as of tonight. I guess officially we are running it now.
Whoop, whoop.
But I'm so glad that I was able to do it, because there's so much fun that kind of comes from it, and it's just silly. It's social. It's not a bunch of people in a dark basement kind of thing. We usually have a barbecue and a bunch of drinks and a bunch of people over, and in our kitchen table is the sunsets kind of thing. Like, it's super chill. It's super awesome.
Yeah. I mean, which totally contrasts. I mean, like, I am a huge D&D nerd, with all the books and the minis and the whatever. But I remember the first time, I think I was probably in junior high, and I might have been in Scouts, actually. And for some reason, we kind of had like a free night. There was only a couple of us, and one of the guys was like, "I'm going to bring in my D&D book, and we'll play some D&D." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds right up my alley. Like, I love video games and stuff. Let's do this." And I just remember rolling for stats, and like I think I rolled like 3d6. No drop the lowest. Rolled stats like in order: strength, dex, con.
OG hardcore character.
Oh yeah, and then I remember then I was like, okay, I have these numbers in front of me now, and I was like looking at the paladin, because I was like, that looks cool, but they were like, no, you can't be the paladin because this stat isn't high enough, and I was like, well, how about like the monk? That looks cool, and they're like, no, you can't be the monk because this stat's not high enough, and then it just devolved into this like, so like I can't play the game then because I didn't roll good enough dice.
Yeah,
this is stupid. And then like an hour later, it was time to go home, and I was like, okay, well, that was enough of D&D forever.
Yeah,
I guess.
Which is a good piece of advice, because anybody who, and I think is how you kind of run things when we started playing, was it's about fun and what you're going to have fun doing, and not this restrictive kind of model of don't do this, don't do that kind of thing, right?
Right. And I mean, it's also a testament too to like, D&D. I've played 4 editions at this point, definitely 3. Mm-hmm. And 5th edition is way more friendly than any of the other editions. And it's
probably the reason why it's so popular now too, right?
Yeah. I mean, 100%.
The barrier to entry is so much lower, right?
Yeah, instead of, there's still math,
mm-hmm.
not much math, but there's still some math. But none of the floating modifiers, like, well, my paladin has an aura that gives +2 to this, and because you're standing behind him, you get another +2 to this. But because I cast this spell on you, and you kind of have all these little plus-minus bubbles you got to just keep track of all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so, I don't know, it's a lot. If you're trying to explain the game to someone who's never played before, I mean, I really got into D&D in 3.5 edition.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say I was 6 months in before I was, this is how I do things.
Yeah.
Just because it was just convoluted. I mean, versus now, it's no modifiers. You just have the advantage, disadvantage system. It's simple. It's easy. It's clean.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think that, to be completely honest, I think that's the way. I know a lot of things, like a lot of people complain that World of Warcraft kind of went that way, where it simplified a lot of things and kept like the hard modes for the mythic rating and everything as well, which I was exposed to last patch. And it's it still kind of preserves that really, really hard part for the people that enjoy that, but it also makes it super accessible for, with LFR and, some alt friendly stuff kind of thing. I think that for D&D, having 5th edition be that way is the right way to go, because that way people that haven't gotten into it before can get into it really easily. And then, you know what? Hey, if you really like nitpicky rules, then go play 4th edition kind of thing.
Or,
right?
you know, you can make those rules in 5th edition as well. I mean, that's the upside of the book is you read through, there's a lot of optional rules.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we use flanking at our table. That's an optional rule. I mean, you can just ignore that.
I just learned something new.
Right? I mean, feats are an optional rule. I mean, you don't have to use them. Versus in 3.5, you had to take feats. Otherwise, your character was useless.
I just learned 2 things.
Right? Like, if you wanted to play a fighter in 3.5, if you didn't take the right feat tree, you know, and by, you know, each feat, you need 1 feat to get the next feat. And I don't mean like feet on your feet, like FEAT. But you needed to pick the right skills. Otherwise, you just couldn't do anything. You're like, I just swing my sword again, I guess. That's,
Yeah.
you know.
Isn't that what playing Warlock is like?
Yeah.
I just cast Eldritch Blast again. Yeah, so, you know, we talked about how we kind of got into it a little bit. We touched on it a little bit, but like, how you obviously went and played and then got turned away from it.
Yeah, so I got turned away, and it was a long time later. Another group of friends in high school, one of the creators of Ninepenny, actually 2 of the creators of Ninepenny, Glenn and Dwayne, they were like, "Come on, let's play some D&D. This is going to be awesome."
Mm-hmm.
And I rolled up, and don't hate me for this, but a half-elf druid.
Anybody that knows Tilly knows he hates elves.
I hate elves so much. But half-elves were hacks. They had good stats. They had good abilities. Whatever, you know, I was going half-elf.
So
I made the most stereotypical backstory. Both my parents were dead. You know, people with the shortest life expectancy are players' parents in-game.
100%. Without a doubt.
Oh, without a doubt. And it was cool. I mean, like, they walked me through it. I think the big bad guy that first campaign was an ooze, like a, you know, picture Jello that eats you. But he was in a suit of armor. So, like, it was funny, you know, be like, ooh. So, like, it was just funny.
I don't know if that makes sense to me, to be honest.
It doesn't have to. It's D&D, man. It's all, you know, whatever. But we played through, and like I think we had people come and go. We had another buddy of ours came in, played for a couple sessions. He made like a pimp.
Oh, Jesus.
And just like homebrewed a pimp. I mean, we were in high school. It was ridiculous. And
so maybe I don't regret not coming to play with you in high school.
It was funny. But it was good. I mean, we had a laugh. I think like by the time we got to the big bad, like I think Dwayne was the DM at the time. By the time we got to the big bad evil guy, I think we were like 18, like level 18. D&D goes to level 20 if you don't know in general. And
That's impressive.
me and Glenn were just like, can we please be level 20 for the final boss? And he was like, yeah, fuck it. And just ding level 20. You know, why not? It was like, it was by the time it was all said and done, it was literally Dwayne running the game for just me and Glenn. Right. So that was cool, right? And then you know,
can I ask my DM and get
no.
automatic level 20?
Jess gets automatic level 20, not you guys.
What? It's because I play an elf, isn't it?
It's because but you're a cat now, which is even worse.
Oh my god. Okay, we had to talk about this story. Speaking of being derailed, so obviously I if you guys haven't figured it out yet, I play an elf, and Tilly hates the fact that I played an elf. And, you know, in line with making sure that I kind of had fun along the way, he didn't try too hard, but he tried to kill me a couple times.
So many times.
And anyway, so he killed me. How did you kill me once? And I say you. I mean, you don't. That's
so
that,
the
that
first
whole,
time.
Before we go any further, hold on. That whole idea of like the DM versus the player thing is something that's kind of not what we do either. Like,
no.
You screw up your face.
Don't be wrong.
Like, maybe I kind
of.
No.
No. I do my best to make it challenging.
Yeah.
And there's times when I want a battle to be hard, or even possibly deadly, and then I make it that way.
Yeah.
But
and that's good. I mean, it should be challenging, but I've seen it on Twitter that there are DMs out there that go out of the way to try and kill their party and try and TPK their party. Like,
that's no good.
You're breaking rule 0. Everyone at the table has fun.
Caveat, there's always exceptions to rules. Like, there are madhouse dungeons. I mean, where the whole point is, like, if you make it past the lobby of this house, good job.
Yeah.
That was amazing. This whole thing is meant to kill you, right?
No, 100%. Wait, so how did that happen the first time?
So I made a bad guy, who I didn't mean to be a bad guy, but the best thing about D&D is I don't really pick who the bad guys are. I let you guys pick who the bad guys are, because typically you like really start to hate on someone. I'm like, oh, this is the bad guy. Yeah. And they really started hating this guy, and you killed him in a fight. But to be honest, it was a battle. It was getting kind of like late at night, probably a few too many drinks. And the battle just like was not satisfying. And so I was like, screw that. I'm bringing this guy back as a vampire. Like that. Like, his boss in the actual campaign was supposed to be a necromancer. I was like, screw that. The necromancer can just bring him back as a vampire and die. Like, I don't give a fuck about that person. Yeah. So that's what I did. And you went toe-to-toe in the final battle with him and another boss, or his boss, the dragon lady. Mm-hmm. And you went toe-to-toe with a level 10 vampire in the corner of a room.
And as a ranger, thought I could do it.
I mean, you kind of did, right? Yeah. And you killed him. No, sorry, he killed you, and then Anna saved your life, which, let's be honest, is
spoilers.
Works. It's not like it's recorded.
She used a wish spell, didn't she?
No, sunbeam or something. No, but she brought you back to life using what's the name of that spell? Reincarnation, which is a cool reincarnation's cool because it doesn't just bring you back to life. It brings you back to life as a different ancestry, right? Like you died as an elf, but you could wake up as a goblin or a orc or a human or what? I mean, anything. Let the dice decide.
Which is part of the reason why he wanted to kill me so bad, because I played an elf.
It was sweet. And then go ahead.
No, so the rules are there's a D100 table that you roll against when you reincarnate to decide what race you come back on, right? And I rolled. I still remember it. I think I remembered. I think I rolled a 58.
I couldn't tell you. I think it might have been a 26. Elves are pretty high up on the list because they're part of the core races.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Clearly, I don't remember it. Like you said, there's a lot of bears. Yeah, so I rolled to find out what race I was coming back at, and what did I come back at? But a wood elf, which is what I was.
Fucking thing. God damn! I was so excited.
Yeah, and I died, or my character died, in I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 sessions ago, and rolled again, and I really hoped it was going to be an elf again, but I came back as a tabaxi. So now I play a cat, and there's a lot of furry jokes.
Kit cat.
So derailment aside, let's get back on track. Do you remember what we were talking about? I don't remember what we were talking about.
I don't know. Well, I was talking about campaigns. I mean, I don't know. D&D is so cool because I was one of the notes I got here was like, we tend to play stereotypical fantasy, but like, 3.5 again, Dwayne, legendary DM, back in the day, did a whole campaign based on Naruto. Like, if anyone watches anime, like the whole campaign, it was awesome. Like I had never watched a Naruto before this campaign, but obviously, the guys were all really excited for it. So I was like, cool, I'll watch some anime. Let's do this. And like, not a bad show. And he based the whole campaign, like, if you watch it, there's like the 3 main character kids, and they become ninjas and they have ninja powers. And he based the whole campaign as like, we were 3 new ninjas following like a step behind the Naruto storyline with our own, our own things to deal with that kind of he wove into the Naruto narrative, right? Mm-hmm. that made sense. Like, oh yeah, well, like if you guys never did this, then like Naruto wouldn't have been able to save the day over there. So like, good job. But you also learn how to like break stuff. Because I remember the big thing with Naruto is in the everybody has their power, right? Like, I mean, they punch, they kick, they do the whole ninja thing, but everyone has the one secret move, right? So Dwayne was like, well, y'all get to have your one cool secret move, and mine, I think I was playing like a medical ninja, like a healer.
Right.
So I was like, well, obviously I'm squishy as all hell. I want like a bubble. Like, give me a shield, right, to go around me. So he gave me the bubble, and like it basically made me immune to damage. And part of the Naruto thing is they have to do a battle, like a one-on-one battle against someone to try to get to the next rank of ninja.
Right.
Like, I was getting my ass handed to me because I was a healer and I had nobody to help. And I think Glenn was like, wait a minute. Like, if you turn on the bubble when he's like next to you, would the bubble like slice him in half? And then Dwayne was like, I mean, yeah. So I just started slicing people in half with the bubble. I became unstoppable. I was just like, slunk. And anyway, a couple sessions later, Dwayne showed up with a sheet of paper with like a bunch of things. And he was like, I'm willing to give you all of the things on this piece of paper, but I'm taking away the bubble.
You got nerfed.
So, well, it was a fair trade. And like, it was broken as fuck.
Yeah. That's awesome. And that's the fun part. And this is what I didn't realize about D&D when I first started playing it, was that because I kept on as somebody who rated Mythic in World of Warcraft, it was all about min-maxing, right? It was all about getting the most damage out of it. And when I created that character, I was like, okay, what's the best stats for this? What's the best this? Mm-hmm. I didn't care about, wisdom or intelligence or any other saving throws or anything like that. I just made like stacked decks as hard as I could and didn't care about anything else. And now I suck at everything other than damage.
I mean, but like, you do some serious damage.
I do, but
like, you are like a cannon.
D&D is about more than just damage, right?
It's true.
So
I mean, but the upside is too. So like D&D, it all comes down to rolling that 20-sided dice, right? So you might have a -2 to roll in that 20-sided dice, but you could still roll a 20, and that would be an 18. Which 100%. Is not a bad number. It's pretty high. Yeah. Right?
Except for me, my health has like -4 to intelligence or wisdom or whatever it is.
Yeah, wisdom, which is hilarious. Anyway, funny.
It is what it is. That's because of the deck of many things. We'll get into that in another episode.
I love the deck of many things.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got Tilly dropped the deck of many things on us, on me, very early on in our campaign. We didn't know what it was about. And I texted my brother who's played since high school, and he's 15 years older than me, right? So he's been playing for a very, very long time. And his immediate response was, destroy it, throw it away, give it to somebody in an alley. Just don't touch it, don't use it at all. And of course, I started drawing cards from it.
How many up to now? 6, 7?
Yeah, we haven't pulled in a long time because I feel like I've gambled and won.
Jess won. She got like 2 free levels out of that thing.
Jess did win, yeah, 100%. There was an absolute ton of anxiety pulling those cards. I can only do it at the end of the session when I've had a bunch of drinks. That's the only time I have enough courage to be able to do it.
Well, in fairness, like Jess won and Erin didn't lose, but she never got, like, I think she got like a trident of fish command or something. Like,
she got extra movement speed, but she was
she's already a monk. Right? Yeah,
or
so she already.
Monk, yeah.
So like, I don't even track her movement now. She's like, I move here and then I move over here. I'm like, yeah, sure. I bet you do. I bet you do. I don't 100%. Even know how many squares that is. Have at it.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy too. Like, I remember when I played, and we played through, I mean, Dwayne DM'd for a while for me, and then Andrew DM'd for a while through 3.5. Some really cool military style campaigns. I mean, that guy, to this day, I remember, like, talking about some secrets. I mean, you don't want to tell everyone everything, but I mean, or puzzles. There was a cave we found in one of his games, and there was a door like 100 feet away from us. But the closer you got to the door, the harder the wind was blowing against you. So you had to keep making progressively higher checks to get to the door. And like, we never made it. I'm sure if we had had some magical spells, we could have like teleported there or whatever, but like, we never ever made it. We never went back. And like, to this day, that fucker won't tell me what was inside that door. wrote him all the time. Like, Andrew, remember that fucking windy door? Like, what was inside that windy door? I want to know. He's like, no, not telling you. God damn it. But I remember then saying, I'm never going to DM. Like, that's not, not doing it.
Yep.
But, here I am. Thanks to Matt Colville and Critical Role.
100%, yeah. And to be completely honest, I started to watch those videos from Matt Colville running the game, and I found them really, really, really interesting and really, really entertaining. I must have binged the first 30 the first night that I found them or something. 2 years later, I don't know how it happened. I don't know why, but I came up with an idea for a one shot.
It was awesome.
I feel like you have to say that because
no, I had a good time. I loved it. I want to go back to that place
because you're our DM and you wanted to play.
That was so much fun.
Had to say that.
So much fun.
Yeah, no, I kind of based it off of Diablo 2, where you go into, it was Diablo 2 or Diablo 1? Diablo 1. Where you go into the church and just keep on going down in the levels until you get into hell, kind of thing. We didn't go to hell; it was only a one shot. But
there was skeletons.
It wasn't what?
There was skeletons, though.
There was skeletons, yeah. Lots of undead things and a necromancer and all that. So it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of
quick roll. Sorry.
It was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of work, and it made me respect you so much more.
Yeah. I would like to point out that I pointed out so many times while you were prepping for that session to be like, you're over prepping.
Oh, I know I was.
Over prepping.
100%.
Like, Paul knew where every stone was, every loose brick in the mortar of every building.
Every NPC had a name and a backstory and a quirk.
A child and a 40 years of life experience.
But it was fun too, though, because I got into it and I wanted to get that whole idea of world building was fun, and it didn't always come out. Some of the characters didn't get used, but one of the ones that did get used was the she was an armor smith, a dwarven armor smith or blacksmith or something like that, and her quirk was that she gave discounts to druids, and I just used a random character creator for a lot of these things, and I hit the randomize button and it said, she fascinated with druids. So I was like, okay, well, she gives a discount to druids. So when you guys walked into the armory or whatever it was, she was all friendly, and then she looked at one and was like, "Are you a druid?"
I should have said yes.
Oh no, okay, no. And nobody said yes because there was no.
Should have said yes. I could have done it. I was a bard. Could have made that happen.
Could have charismaed it up, yeah. 100%. So we heard about your story about getting into D&D, and for me, you asked me to play in high school, and I said no, I wasn't interested. Like I said before, I really, really wish that I did. I don't know why I did. Well, I know why I didn't, because I had different preconceived notions about what it was, and it wasn't something that I thought I'd be interested in. And if I'd been exposed to it the way that there's so many resources out there now that are available to people to be able to kind of see and to be able to watch Critical Role and see there's a little bit of a difference kind of thing. And Critical Role are a bunch of well-trained career actors, so that's a different perspective. That's not what most D&D tables are like, but it shows that kind of excitement that you can get, and the excitement that those guys get at their table, we get at our table for certain things, right? When we roll a nat 20 and we all cheers and drink, or when we hear the words "How do you want to do this?" from Tilly, it's super exciting, and we see the same excitement on one of the best produced games and at our table. So it's that same emotion that kind of goes laterally through all of it. And if I'd known that at the time, I certainly would have. But what convinced me was that you wanted to DM, and you'd never done it before, but you didn't want to DM for players that had played. So you were like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Well, if you're learning, then I'm learning, and there's no barrier to entry there for it as well. So yeah, sure, let's do it."
Let's do it.
And then we asked, Anna was up for it. Aaron was up for it as well. We played 2 or 3 sessions, and then Jess was super interested as well. And 2 years later, we're still going strong and super happy with our party. And I can't imagine ever not playing again now.
Yeah, it's literally taken over my life.
Especially the last 6 months planning this.
Literally taken over my life.
100%, yeah.
And like my bank account is empty because Aaron keeps buying dice.
Oh my god, and Aaron's dice collection.
So many dice. Oh my god. And like fancy dice.
Yeah. The metal dice.
Oh, the metal dice. She rolls them. It sounds like clunk clunk. Jeez.
Give me 1 second.
Oh no. What's he going to find, folks? Is he going to? Are you picking up her dice?
Sorry. What was that?
Oh no, those dice. I remember.
Yeah.
Now.
So speaking of spending money on dice, Erin's an absolute doll, and she buys us little gifts all the time for our table. And she ordered these custom D20s for all of us, and they were all specific to, I guess, each player.
Artisandice.com, I think.
What was it?
Artisandice.com or
Artisan Dice. We'll find the link to it and share it on our social media. But the one that she got for me, which I absolutely love, and a little bit of foreshadowing for this stream, which is I mean, you couldn't write it, but it was actually, let's see if I can zoom in here. It is, if you can see that is a D20 that is made from hops that have been pressed into a D20 mold. We've used the imagery a bunch on our social media. It's our overlay right now in the background. That's that photo kind of thing. This was perfect. And I said thank you 100 times when she gave it to me, but I'm super grateful for it. What were a couple of the other ones that we got as well?
I think she gave Anna. It was like made out of crocodile bone.
Yeah, actual crocodile bone.
Actual crocodile bone. Like, it was in resin, I think, but like it was a piece of crocodile bone in there. Jess's was made out of like blood tree from Brazil or bloodwood, and it's just like metal as fuck. Dice. You had your hops one, and mine was made out of Jack Daniel's barrel wood, which is cool as hell too.
Yeah,
but it rolls like blood shit.
Which is good because you're our DM.
Drunk dice. It's garbage.
But the Bloodwood one was the if you guys want to Google it, it's actually really, really cool. If you Google a picture of it, the sap is red. So if you cut this wood, it looks like it's bleeding, and it's the name Bloodwood. It's super epic and metal. It's awesome.
It is awesome.
But yeah, we'll tweet out the link to it if we can find it afterwards, because they're really, really good. Super quality. I've never rolled poorly on mine.
I can't say the same.
Yeah. All right, so we've been doing this for way longer than we initially expected. We tried to keep the episode to 45 minutes.
Paul, me and you don't talk too long ever. I have this image in my head, and it's engraved in my brain. This is a side story of me and Paul. So grade 11 is when this story takes place. But the little bit of backup you need is, so in grade 10... we're really all through high school. Like, I think we were only in one class, together. And I think that was just because there was only like one English, or that English class had two English classes on the go at the same time. So they put you in one and me in the other. But because we were in French immersion and blah, 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 and there was French really no options, right?
French immersion and choir and AP physics and accelerated math.
Guitar and all this stuff.
Super fucking keeners.
Yeah, there was no, and not that we did well and really in any of those things. But we tried.
High hopes.
We had high hopes. We were just smart enough. And anyway, grade 10, we had this teacher, Miss McKee. Anyway, gave her hell for a whole year. That poor woman. And anyway, in grade 11, I guess we were now in math class again together. And I remember, like, in the first day, she walks in as the math department head. And she's like, "Oh, hey, everybody, welcome back to school. This is so exciting. It's September. Who's in this class?" And looks down and sees me and you sitting next to each other in the back corner. She's just like, no.
Turned around, walked out.
No. And turned out, she's like, "I'm going to deal with this," and left and gone to the office to be like, "You got to split these two up." Couldn't do it. But yeah, just that memory will just be ingrained.
100%. Keith was in that class too.
He was, which was even worse.
One of the other owners of Ninepenny.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in tonight. We certainly do. We didn't know how this was going to go. We planned a lot for it, but we didn't know that we were going to have a decent reception. We certainly appreciate everybody that's tuned in. We appreciate everyone that's followed. I saw a merch purchase there as well, which is super awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
100%. Yeah. So
Cool.
thank you so much. So make sure that if you haven't already, just hit that subscribe button, or sorry, like button. You can hit the subscribe button if you want, but that costs money. Just so follow us if you want. You'll see when we go live. We are planning on streaming every single Thursday at 7 p.m. Newfoundland time. So I think that's 5:30 Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we're gonna try to stream some games as well along the ways if we can. But that's the set kind of episode kind of thing. When Baldur's Gate comes out, we're gonna look at possibly streaming that as well. So
Sundays, I think, right?
Sundays is what we're looking at. Yeah. So that's a ways away. We're kind of look at where we are then. But this thing's gonna happen next week, and we'll have an actual full episode as opposed to just Tilly and I rambling for for an hour.
What are we going to talk about, Paul?
Next week we're going to talk about first-time character creation. We're going to talk about playing online versus at the table, which we've unfortunately had to do during COVID times. Of course, we couldn't hang out. We can a little bit more now, but sometimes schedules don't always line up. So it's certainly a backup. There are goods, positives, and negatives to it. And we're going to do that classic CR battle between the zombie and the skeleton.
I feel like I gave you you win now, but that's fine. They don't know that.
Oh yeah, because you. Oh
yeah. Don't tell them.
I would have forgotten it.
Ah, shit. Shit. I got 7 more days. If you forgot between Sunday and today, you'll forget between today and next Thursday at 7.
100%, without a doubt. All right. So that being said, guys, feel free to look us up on social media. Our username is down below. You can see all the icons. That's where we are. We are going to be posting segments from the videos on YouTube. We are going to be posting the audio for this as a podcast, edited a little bit. And we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Is that it? I get it all?
Oh, Reddit,
which is not linked anywhere.
No, nowhere at all.
But we will. So thank you very much, guys. We appreciate you showing up. We're going to stick around and like hang out and just banter, but the episode is going to be done now, and that's the kind of structure we're going to go with from now on. But thanks so much for showing up, and thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly, 100%. Take care, guys. Peace.